Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. This is a disaster. Not a minor setback. Not a bad game. We're talking about a full-on, lights flashing, sirens blaring WNBA meltdown. And at the center of the chaos, one name, Bria Hartley. Because what went down on that court wasn't just physical. It wasn't part of the game. It wasn't grit. It was ugly, targeted, and downright dirty. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Sophie Cunningham, arguably the most crucial off-season addition to the Indiana Fever. The enforcer, the protector, the heartbeat just got taken out. And the worst part? We all saw it coming. This wasn't a freak accident. This wasn't bad luck. This was deliberate contact. A hit that felt personal, vicious, and calculated. And if you've been watching Bria Hartley this season, you know this is not her first offense. Let's rewind a bit. Because this didn't start with Sophie, and it probably won't end with her either. Bria Hartley has developed a reputation, and not the kind you want. We're talking about a track record of reckless, sometimes flat-out violent plays that walk the line between competitive and cruel. And somehow every time, she skates by with a shrug from the refs and a side eye from the fans. But after what she did to Sophie, no more benefit of the doubt. That grace period is over. Let's talk about the play. It looked harmless enough at first. Just another physical defensive set, right? Wrong. If you watched it closely, if you slowed the tape, if you saw how Sophie went down, how Bria's elbow didn't accidentally catch her, it drove into her. It becomes painfully obvious. Sophie wasn't just in the way. She was a target. This is the part that stings. Sophie Cunningham has been nothing short of a warrior this season. Tough, passionate, unapologetically vocal. She's been Caitlin Clark's unofficial bodyguard, rallying the team, checking opponents, diving for balls like they owe her money. And now, she's out, sidelined, possibly for the rest of the season. And what do we get from the officials? Crickets. Not even a flagrant, not a technical, not even a let's take another look. Just silence while one of the league's most consistent players was helped off the court. No whistle, no accountability, just silence. Now let's zoom out, because this isn't just about one bad play. This is about a pattern. Bria Hartley pulling Angel Reese by her ponytail, taking Becca Allen out mid-drive, throwing shoulders like she's in the UFC. It's not just aggressive, it's malicious. And fans are noticing. Players are noticing. Hell, even the commentators are starting to sound exhausted when they have to explain yet another Hartley foul that magically doesn't get called. And still the league? Silent. The refs? Blinking. Kathy Engelbert? Somewhere giving a press conference about growth, while her players are getting carted off like it's open season. At what point does letting them play turn into letting them get hurt? This isn't just sloppy officiating. It's a structural failure, because when refs miss one foul, fine. 2, still human. But when multiple dangerous plays go unchecked, week after week, team after team, that's not a mistake. That's a culture. And it's rotting the core of what the WNBA should be: elite, professional, and safe. Fans don't buy tickets to watch hockey-style brawls. They're here for skill, strategy, rivalries that are intense but fair. They want to see Caitlin Clark drain logo threes, not dodge elbows like she's in a Marvel fight scene. But the Indiana Fever? They can't even field a full-strength roster at this point. The injuries are piling up like a Jenga tower on the verge of collapse. Kelsey Mitchell, out. Nalissa Smith, out. Now Sophie, it's not a roster. It's a hospital wing. And guess what? They're still expected to compete. Still getting thrown into national broadcasts like nothing's wrong. Still getting criticized when they lose. Because of course they're losing. Half the starting lineup is wearing walking boots. So now the big question. With Sophie gone, who's going to step up? Let's not kid ourselves. This is Caitlin Clark's moment. She didn't ask for this pressure, but she's got it. The league put the rookie spotlight on her the second she stepped off the draft stage. Every game, every camera, every tweet, all Caitlin. And now, the one teammate who's been her enforcer, her protector, her energy plug is gone. Taken out by a basketball play that somehow didn't draw a whistle. Will she crumble or rise? Because the fans are watching. The haters are watching. And Caitlin, she has a choice. She can try to keep her head down, stick to the plays, and hope the refs show up this time. Or she can lead. And I'm not just talking about points. She needs to lead emotionally, vocally. Let people know that what happened to Sophie isn't acceptable. Call it out. Point fingers. Demand better. Because if Caitlin Clark stays silent while her teammates are getting picked off like pawns on a chessboard, what's the point of being the face of the league? Leadership isn't just media quotes and Nike deals. It's speaking up when it costs something, when the cameras are rolling and the fan base is divided. It's knowing you have the mic and choosing to use it. And now she has to. Because honestly, no one else is doing it. Not the league office. Not the refs. Not the commentators who keep calling it gritty defense when someone gets slammed to the hardwood. And here's the kicker. The Fever were actually starting to figure things out. They were building chemistry, finding roles, gelling. Sophie was a huge part of that, not just physically, but spiritually. She was a veteran spark that lit the match. Now she's gone. And all we're left with is a mess of tape, bruises, and a question. How much more can this team take? Because if we're being honest, the Indiana Fever are being failed. By the league, by officiating, and by the system that claims to support them while letting this chaos run unchecked. But if there's a silver lining in this disaster, it's this. Moments like this force evolution. Maybe this is a moment where Caitlin Clark stops being the rookie phenom and becomes something bigger. A leader, a voice, a shield. Maybe this is a moment the WNBA fan base stops clapping politely and starts demanding better. More fouls called, more protection, more professionalism. Because if this league wants to grow, if it wants real investment, real fans, real respect, it can't keep letting its best players get taken out by incidental contact. It's time to pick a side. Do you want a league built on highlight reels and heart, or one where injuries are just part of the entertainment package? Because Sophie Cunningham deserved better. The Indiana Fever deserve better. And honestly, we deserve better. So here's the question we'll leave you with. Can Caitlin Clark save the season? Or has the damage already been done? Sound off in the comments. Should Bria Hartley be suspended? Should officiating rules change? Can the Fever survive another blow? And don't forget to subscribe, because at this rate, the drama's just getting started. We'll see you in the next meltdown. Let's just say what we're all thinking. If the WNBA doesn't get a grip fast, this entire season is going to turn into a cautionary tale. Because what happened to Sophie Cunningham wasn't just one bad moment. It was a result of an environment that's been allowed to fester. One where physicality gets praised, but accountability somehow never shows up. And now the league's our problem it can't ignore. One of its most passionate, gritty players is out, and the damage isn't just physical, it's psychological. It's emotional. It's existential for the Indiana Fever. This was supposed to be their year, right? The redemption arc, the rebuild, the rise. They landed Caitlin Clark. They stacked the roster with toughness. They were finally building momentum, not just clicks, wins. The fans were back. The arenas were loud. And then, boom, Sophie Cunningham crumbles to the floor, and it's like the air got sucked out of the entire stadium. You could feel it. The kind of silence that's not just shock, it's anger, it's betrayal. It's knowing this didn't have to happen, that if the refs had just done their job, if the league had held Bria Hartley accountable sooner, maybe Sophie wouldn't be in a brace and walking boot watching from a bench. You want to talk about rivalries? This isn't rivalry. This is warfare disguised as defense. And now, Caitlin Clark, rookie or not, has to deal with the fallout. Because here's the real story under the stats. Caitlin and Sophie weren't just teammates. They were building something. A duo, a chemistry, that rare, electric connection that turns good teams into dangerous ones. Caitlin brought the spotlight. Sophie brought the grit. It was working. And now, with Sophie gone, Caitlin's going to have to shoulder all of it. The minutes, the media, the pressure, the weight of being the franchise savior without her co-star. And that's terrifying. Not because Caitlin can't handle it. She can, but because she shouldn't have to. She shouldn't be fighting alone. And that's exactly what this feels like now. A team stripped bare, left to survive in a league that says it's about women's empowerment, but turns into the Wild West the moment someone sets a screen too hard. Where's the consistency? Where's the protection? Where's the standard? And let's talk about Bria Hartley for a minute, because this whole situation screams pattern. Pulling ponytails? Really? In what world is that a basketball move? You can't even try to pass that off as accidental. That's just disrespectful. Full stop. Roughing up Becca Allen, slamming into Angel Reese, and now bulldozing through Sophie Cunningham? That's not aggressive play. That's calculated chaos. And the worst part? It's working. There's been no real punishment. No suspension. Not even a meaningful fine. And so the message Bria and players like her are getting is crystal clear. Do what you want. We're not stopping you. And honestly, that's dangerous. Not just for the players getting hurt, but for the entire image of the league. Because you can't push "We Are Here" commercials 1 minute, and then let players get dragged across the floor with zero consequences the next. You can't sell empowerment while ignoring basic player safety. Pick a lane. And that brings us back to the Fever. This team isn't just hurting physically. They're on the verge of a breakdown. They came into this season with so much hope, so much hype, but between the injuries, the media circus, and the lack of protection, you can feel the emotional exhaustion setting in. They're tired of being ignored, tired of watching their teammates fall, tired of playing through chaos while the league smiles for cameras. So what now? Here's where things could go one of two ways. Option 1, the Fever spiral. Sophie's absence leaves a leadership vacuum. The roster thins. The pressure mounts. Caitlin tries to do too much. The media turns. The fans start doubting. And the promise of a breakout season turns into another long, painful rebuild. Option 2, they rally. Caitlin, Alyssa, Kelsey, whoever's left standing, they dig in. They stop waiting for the league to protect them and start protecting each other. They get loud. They call out the officiating. They demand better, not just with words, but with wins. Because make no mistake, if the Fever want to salvage this season, it's not just going to take good basketball. It's going to take fire, grit, an attitude shift. They have to turn this pain into pressure, turn every elbow into fuel, every no call into motivation, every dirty play into revenge on the scoreboard. And look, no one's saying Caitlin Clark needs to become the league's moral compass overnight. She's 22. She's still learning. But this is her moment, not just to prove she can shoot or pass or lead, but to speak. Because players listen to her, fans listen to her, sponsors listen to her. If she calls out the violence, people will pay attention. If she demands change, she might just get it. And maybe, just maybe, this whole twisted moment becomes a thing that unites the league. Because trust me, this isn't just a Fever problem. Other teams are watching. Other stars are getting hit. Other veterans are watching their careers shortened by reckless play. And a league that doesn't seem to care until cameras are rolling. But if Caitlin takes a stand, that could change everything. Imagine the ripple effect. A league-wide push for stricter officiating, for player protections, for accountability, because we're way past the point of hoping it fixes itself. The WNBA needs a shake-up, and Sophie Cunningham, she deserves justice. Whether that's Bria facing suspension, or the league finally issuing a formal statement, or the refs actually doing their jobs for once, something has to give, because fans don't forget. They watched their favorite spark plug get laid out like a rag doll while the whistle stayed buried. They watched the refs shrug, the lead dodge, the cameras cut away. But fans saw the truth, and they're not going to let it slide. So now we're in the end game. The Fever are bruised, limping down, but not out. And the next few weeks, that's where legends are born or broken. If Caitlin can carry this team, if Alyssa Smith can rally, if the locker room finds strength in the chaos, they can still shock the league, still turn the season around. But they're going to have to want it, badly, because the league isn't going to help. The refs won't call it. The cameras will spin whatever story gets clicks. So it's up to the players now. The real ones, the ones still standing. And maybe that's what Sophie would want. Not pity, not drama, but fight, because that's who she is. That's who she's always been. So now, Indiana Fever fans, WNBA diehards, Chaos watchers, it's on you too. Support this team. Call out the injustice. Demand better, louder, because this league is at a crossroads. And if it wants to survive and thrive, it needs to decide, are we watching basketball or sanctioned violence? Are we celebrating athletes or sacrificing them? And are we going to keep letting dirty play win? Or finally take the game back? Oh, you're still here? Good. Because we got more to unpack than a messy group chat after breakup. Let's keep it real. This moment, this injury, this absolute failure of officiating and accountability isn't just a bad look for the WNBA. It's a crisis point. And no, that's not an exaggeration. We're watching a team bleed talent week after week. We're watching stars get body slammed with no whistles. And we're watching a league that claims to be entering its golden era sit back and shrug while one of its brightest teams gets dragged through the mud. And the irony? It's all happening while the Indiana Fever were just starting to matter again. For years, they were a background team, rebuilding, retooling, just trying to stay afloat. And then Caitlin Clark showed up like a bolt of lightning. Suddenly, the games were sold out. Suddenly, they were on SportsCenter. Suddenly, people cared. It was supposed to be a comeback story. And now, it's starting to feel like a Greek tragedy. Only instead of gods and monsters, we've got inconsistent referees and Bria Hartley throwing elbows like she's auditioning for WWE. Let's be clear. This isn't just about physical play. Basketball is physical. We love the hustle, the contact, the fight for position. But there's a difference between playing hard and playing dirty. And if the league doesn't step in to draw that line, then who will? Because here's the truth no one's saying out loud. The players are noticing. They know who's playing honest ball and who's weaponizing contact. They know which refs let the game flow and which ones are asleep at the whistle. They're seeing who gets the superstar calls and who gets ignored. And that tension, it's building. You can feel it in the air during games. The way players glare after missed calls. The shoulder checks that come just a little too hard. The sideline arguments. The post-game shade on social media. It's not just competitiveness. It's frustration. And it's reaching a boiling point. Now imagine being Caitlin Clark in all of this. You come into the league with the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're the number one pick. You're the ticket sales, the ratings spike, the media circus. And every game, someone's coming for your head, literally. And the one person who consistently stood in the line of fire for you, the one teammate who played with bruises, so you didn't have to? She's gone now. Sideline. Gone because a player with a history of dangerous plays was once again allowed to run wild. So now, Caitlin has to figure out how to lead this team while dodging every elbow, hard screen, and late hit that comes with being the new queen of the court. And she has to do it while grieving the loss, not just of a teammate, but of her shield. And if we're being brutally honest, Caitlin's got a target on her back. That's not a metaphor. That's not dramatic flair. That's the reality. Every veteran who resents the hype, every coach trying to rattle the rookie, every frustrated player looking to make a statement, they're all circling. And if the refs continue to swallow their whistles like they're on a juice cleanse, it's only a matter of time before someone else goes down. So the question is, what does the league do to protect its stars? Because if they can't protect Caitlin Clark, the very player who's revitalizing the WNBA's mainstream appeal, then what message are they sending? That no one is safe? That toughness is more important than talent? That marketing slogans matter more than actual action? You can't plaster billboards with the future is now, while letting that future get taken out in Game 12 by a defensive stop that belongs in a sumo ring. And let's not pretend fans are fooled. They're furious, and rightfully so, because this isn't just about Sophie, or Caitlin, or even Bria. This is about the integrity of the entire league. How do you expect to grow the game when your product is getting derailed by injury after injury? When your refs are too inconsistent to trust? When your commissioner is silent in the face of blatant, dangerous plays? You know what fans want? Not perfection, just consistency, accountability, safety. Basic respect for the athletes, putting their bodies on the line every single game. And let's circle back to Bria Hartley one last time, because this isn't about villainizing her. This is about pattern recognition. At a certain point, the incidents stack up so high that she's just aggressive, stops being an excuse, and starts being a liability. If she's a common denominator in multiple controversial injuries, then it's not bad luck. It's a red flag, one the league needs to address. Suspension. Fine. Review. Something. Because right now, the message is loud and clear. You can play dirty, and you won't get punished. And that's not a message the WNBA can afford to send. Not to its players, not to its fans, and definitely not to the young girls watching at home thinking, maybe one day that'll be me. You want to grow the game? Start by protecting the players. Start by acknowledging that Caitlin Clark's job isn't just to entertain. It's to survive. Start by admitting that what happened to Sophie Cunningham is unacceptable and that change needs to happen yesterday. Because here's the thing about sports. Fans will forgive losses. They'll forgive bad seasons. But they won't forgive silence. They won't forgive watching a favorite player go down without a word from the people in charge. They won't forgive watching another woman's hard work end in injury, while the person who calls it jogs away untouched. And they definitely won't forgive a league that claims to stand for empowerment while letting chaos rule the court. So now we wait. Will the league respond? Will Bria be held accountable? Will Caitlin rise? Will the fever survive? Or is this the beginning of the unraveling? Because what happens next isn't just about standings or stats. It's about respect. Respect for the players. Respect for the game. Respect for a team that's already lost too much and can't afford to lose anything more. So I'll leave you with this. If Caitlin Clark stands tall, if she leads with fire in her chest and ice in her veins, if the Indiana Fever rally behind the loss of their toughest soldier, then maybe, just maybe, this season can still be saved. Not because the system worked, but because they refuse to let it fail them again. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Should Bria Hartley be benched? Should the WNBA overhaul its officiating? And is this the moment Caitlin Clark becomes more than a superstar, but a legend? Don't forget to subscribe, because the drama in this league isn't cooling off anytime soon. See you in the next meltdown.